Welcome to Bamble, where comfort meets curiosity. Let's settle in and wander through the little joys of life, one cozy conversation at a time. Hello, and welcome back to Bamble, the podcast where we cozy up with ideas, knowledge, and all the things that make life wonderful and fascinating. I'm your host Zoe, and today I'm here to talk about something that's both magical and scientific. Reading, and it's piggybacking off of the last episode, of course. Now I know. Everyone tells us that reading is good for us. It's the equivalent of eating your vegetables, right? But what if I told you that reading actually changes the structure of your brain? That it physically rewires your neural pathways and can even make you more empathetic, more creative, and maybe a little bit smarter. Yep, we're diving into the science of why flipping through the pages of a book is like a full body workout for your brain. So grab your favorite cozy drink, because I have mine, and let's talk about how reading is basically the best superpower we all have access to. So what actually happens in your brain when you read? Reading isn't just about looking at words on a page. It's an incredibly complex process that activates multiple areas of your brain at once. In fact, a study from Emory University found that when people read, their brains light up like a Christmas tree. Who doesn't want to have that in their brain? Here's what's happening behind the scenes. So, your visual cortex is recognizing letters and words. Your auditory processing centers are linking those words to sounds, even if you're reading silently. And your somatosensory cortex, which helps process movement, is actually mirroring the actions in the book as if you were experiencing them yourself. And the coolest part? These effects don't just stop when you close the book. Researchers found that after reading a novel, brain activity remains heightened for several days, almost like an afterglow. That means stories literally stay with us, rewiring our neurons in real time. So if you ever felt deeply changed by a book, including a book hangover, turns out that's not just an emotional reaction. That's your brain physically transforming because of the words you just read. Okay, so now that reading is good for the brain, let's break it down into actual benefits. Why should we make reading a daily habit? So for one, you'd get a stronger memory and you'd get faster also at learning. The more you read, the more connections your brain builds, especially between the left and the right hemisphere. Think of it like adding extra lanes to a highway. Suddenly, information flows faster and more efficiently. Then you'd have better focus and also less stress. In today's world of endless scrolling and constant notifications, our attention spans are shrinking, like literally. A study in Canada found that the average human attention span drops from 12 seconds in 2000 to just 8 seconds today. That's shorter than a goldfish's. But reading trains your brain to slow down, focus, and stay engaged for longer periods. And here's the best part. Just 6 minutes of reading can reduce stress levels by about 68%. That's more than listening to music or even drinking a cup of tea. Not that I'm saying you should put down your cozy drink now. But also it's a workout for your imagination. Ever notice how when you read, the characters, the places, and the scenes feel real? That's because your brain is activating the same areas responsible for visualizing real-life experiences. In a way, every book we read is its own little virtual reality experience. No fancy headset required. Now, let's talk about long-term effects. According to a study published in Neuroimage, people who are strong readers actually have a physically different brain structure. Researchers found that the left temporal pole, which helps us recognize and understand words, is larger in people who read more. Then the auditory cortex is thicker, meaning better processing of speech and language. And interestingly, readers tend to have more white matter in their brain, which helps different brain regions communicate more efficiently. Translation: the more you read, the better your brain becomes at making sense of the world. And if you're thinking, "Oh no, I didn't read much as a kid. Am I doomed?" Don't worry. Research shows that reading at any age strengthens your neural pathways. It's never too late to start. Beyond just the sciencey stuff, let's talk about how reading feels. Because books aren't just good for our brain, they're good for our hearts too. Reading builds empathy. When you step into a character's shoes, your brain actually mirrors their emotions. It's like crash course in understanding different perspectives, which helps us become more empathetic in real life. Books also create a sense of belonging. Ever felt like a book just gets you? Or that a favorite novel connects you to others who love it just as much? Reading creates a sense of community, whether it's through book clubs, book talk, or simply sharing recommendations with a friend, as I already mentioned in the last episode. So go back and listen to that one as well, please. Reading can also be a type of therapy. There's even a term for it, bibliotherapy. Studies show that reading fiction, especially books that explore emotions and personal growth, can help reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression. It's like having a therapist, but in paperback form or hardcover, whichever you prefer. So here's my challenge to you. Let's bring reading back. Find a book that excites you, whether it's fantasy, romance, history, or even a graphic novel. Set aside time for undistracted reading, even if it's just 10 minutes before bed or after you've woken up in the morning. Share what you're reading, talk about it with friends, post about it online, or start a book journal. Let's turn reading into an experience again. Light a candle, grab a cozy blanket, and let yourself get lost in a story. Because honestly, there's nothing quite like it. Alright, my fellow book lovers, that's it for today's episode of Bamble. I hope this inspired you to pick up a book and let your brain do some happy rewiring. If you enjoyed this episode, let me know what's on your reading list. I'd love to hear your recommendations, and maybe it will inspire the others as well. And as always, stay cozy, stay curious, and keep bambling through life. Until next time!